oh guys, hit that match arena. No, we can just focus up on the freaking awesome games that we have. How great is that as we kick this off? Semi-finals. Winner of this series is qualified for WardiTV 2020. In the bottom left-hand side, our red Zerg player. This is Scarlett. Taking on the blue Terran in the top right-hand side. This is Clem. First game of this best of 3. As we kick this off and we get this going, how many got sponsored? This is, okay, so this whole tournament, WardiTV 2020, is a $7,000 event. 4 $250 qualifiers over the next 4 days. And then we have a $6,000 tournament which will take place over the course of a week. So, there's a lot, and I mean a lot of good StarCraft coming up. Like a lot of good StarCraft coming up. This is just the first European qualifier, and look at the bracket we've had. Look at this matchup. Clem Scarlett semi-final. Again, winner of this qualifies, and we'll play a final for some extra prize money. The loser of this walks away with $25. Not great, but also at least it's a little bit of something for coming so close. I would say, guys, that obviously the loser of this, Clem and Scarlett, has a pretty good chance of receiving an invite anyways, So I would say there's a pretty good chance that one of these guys will get invited, whether they end up qualifying or not here. But one of the things, I was actually just talking to Scarlett about this, and she was like, well, actually, I don't want an invite, because the qualifiers are better prize money than most online cups anyways. In fact, it's better prize money than any online cup I've played in recent times. So I don't want an invite. I want to play the qualifiers. I want to win some money. And it's so true. $250 for a qualifier is actually just ridiculous. Like, that's unheard of. It really is. As we do see the SCV getting nibbled here by the drone. And we do have the Reaper coming across to try and actually get that drone, force their way to the side. Clem loves doing this, trying to delay the third base as long as possible. Look at this, beautiful block on the extractor. Stops the drone from getting an extractor. Great dance with the SCV. Guarantees himself an SCV kill. A drone kill. And slows Scarlett from taking a third hatchery when she wanted to go fast 3 hatch. So that's a great start there. Great play from the SCV. Great denial. Didn't even cost him a unit. Oftentimes there you'll see him have to... Sorry, I say a unit. Didn't even cost him a building. Usually you have to build like a bunker or an engineering bay to block it. Then you can cancel it later, yes. But it's a mineral investment then and there. Didn't even cost him that. Just great micro. As you do see the Reaper going to drop down another grenade. And the Queen going to be popped back a little bit. And that's going to be a dead drone. So drone will go down here. Again, Numitar's Carapace on the way, so Scarlett just looking to try and scout early on in the game. Playing on Eternal Empire, one of the maps where Bio and Mech can work really, really well. You typically get to 4 or 5 bases very easily here on this map for both players. But it's also a 4 or 5 base you can push into. The Terran player pushing down here. It happens all the time, and this 4th base gets into trouble. So we'll see if that's something that Clem is going to be aiming for, as we do see these couple of Zerglings running out around up this top side. Just looking to run by towards the natural. Just going to find a SCV very low on the front. The Lingers actually back away and do keep themselves alive, so it's the right call to back away there. As the Reaper trying to pick up more info in the main, sees the lack of a second gas, and that's really all you're looking for. Confirmation that there is nothing immediately overly aggressive. I mean, okay, there's a gas that could have been taken, that is taken on the natural. But you also see no lair, and it's also just, again, maybe there's something on the natural, but it's less likely to be, right? And maybe you see that now as you look to dive by with these Hellions. There's not a lot of Lings on the map. Scarlett, well, she also doesn't have that many queens. She only has 3 queens here, so actually she's not in a great spot defensively against this. She is going to try and run around. She hasn't lost workers yet, but the issue is, look at the amount of time she's losing. Needs to get rid of 2 of these Hellions at least to slow down the damage being done. Oh, this is a lot of damage taken. Now down to the natural expansion. This is where the drones might start actually dropping. 6 workers killed. The thing is, this is 6, 7 workers on top of just so much lost mining time. As you're going to be seeing, those Hellions are so low. Now the Liberator's shown up. The Queens are still trying to fight the Hellions off. Nice transfusion. That's still 1 dead Queen. Liberator will go down. The 2 Hellions, super low HP, getting out of there alive. And that's great, because as you play in Bio, you would like to keep the Hellion count up at least a little bit, just to keep some map control. That's an amazing amount of damage done from Clem to get 2 Hellions out of there alive. And the question just beckons, why was Scarlett on such a low queen count? Well, part of it's probably because her 3rd hatchery was delayed, right? She delayed her 3rd hatchery, she invested into Overlord speed, that takes up hatchery build time, and these are all features which add up to the fact that she didn't have the queen she needed to defend the early game harassment. So it all builds up over the first few minutes, and Clem puts himself in a monstrously good position after just 5 minutes of gameplay. 2 more barracks dropping down in the main base. So getting those set up and rolling. Siege tank from Clem in the main as well. Some more Hellions going to start working their way down the right-hand side. There's Overlord of Scarlett. Will move up to the upper right. So he's going to be moving across, up to the top. And these Hellions of Clem just coming through, looking for a couple of these grip tumors. So, well, those go down pretty quickly. Queen pushing the Hellions away to the right-hand side. Assault Command lifting up and making its way to the 3rd base as well, so just pushing that across into position, dropping down a couple more creep tumors again. 1-1 upgrades from Clem, combat shields building up, 5 racks in total, and just again 3rd CC to back it up in terms of the economy. Now Scarlett will just play Ling Bane Muta, that Spire dropping down here in the main base. 1-1 upgrades will trail Clem slightly, which is not really too surprising, all things considered, just the fact she took damage early. It would be quite impressive if she was equal on upgrades, especially because it's not like an overly committed build from Clem in terms of dealing damage. Like, if Scarlett took that kind of damage and Clem had gone for like a Hellbat attack or something along those lines, yeah, sure, maybe the engineering bays are later. But this was just him building into 30cc and so on from the start. And as we do see the medevacs coming all the way down the bottom, Hellions here moving away from the 4th base. A little bit of creep spread pushing forward some Scarlett, and again, more Marines just unloading. Another Zergling gets picked off. One upgrades finishing up from Clem as Marines stim over this right-hand side. Lings and Banes thinking about getting forwards here. Lings continue to put out some hurt right now, and this is obviously Scarlett's first real test, trying to defend against this 1-1 attack. She doesn't have Bane speed for 10 more seconds, which is just very, very frustrating few seconds while she tries to survive. A lot of back and forth movement. Now she's going to get Bane speed. She commits into this fight, and that should push the Marines away. How far do you want to chase this as Scarlett? Because you're fighting off of creep. The longer you fight off of creep for, the more of a distance, the more of a gap those Marines create, and then they can just split and fight. In the end, Scarlett chases for a while, does end up having to back off. Now her Mutalist is on the way out, but again, you can just see the advantages of Clem starting to rack on up here. You know, worker count within 5, army supply up about 20, and while Clem gets pushed away now, the reinforcements are already starting to march out onto the map, coming forwards here, getting ready to attack. We've seen 2-2 upgrades coming in on the engineering base in the main base. They're coming around, and it's going to be flying through. Oh, first Bane connects are good. That's exactly what Scarlett needed to get a little bit back into this. And she will go for medevac, and she gets it just before the tank, just after the tank dropped out. Actually, she was nearly able to get that tank in the medevac. That's really nice. Those first Baneling connections buying Scarlett a little bit of time. New issue, she doesn't have any more Banelings though. I mean, that's very frustrating for her. She's going to be diving in towards those Marines. She just didn't have any Banes building up behind this, and that's a mistake you can't really afford to make. And now this 4th hatchery really will be in some trouble, because the couple of Banes she has are really not going to be enough to properly take down these tanks or anything. Marines, again, pushing those meters back. A couple of Overlords being chased. Continue to pull away at the moment as its hatchery on the bottom side will go down. So hatchery will be denied. The Broodling's being picked off. More of these Marines of Clem coming out around into the center of the map here, getting ready to go knocking on the front door. This hatchery going to be taking some damage, perhaps. A couple of Lings picked off. 13 more Marines coming out to as we have the 2-2 upgrades about halfway done. Again, the Rickman is just flying on through. The Baneling's connecting on in. Clem just has the army. Again, gave Clem an advantage in the early game. He will not give it up. He'll hold on to it with dear life. Because he knows what an advantage can mean in TVZ when you're playing Bio. It can mean exactly this. Denial of the 4th phase, consistent pressure that the Zerg will really struggle to recover from. Even when Scarlett got some initial Baneling connections, all that did was extend her life in this game. It hasn't actually meant that she was able to stop this attack. Still under pressure as we see the mutas coming out around in towards the center of the map. Marines, a couple of tanks getting ready to go through. Mutalist gets taken down, going in for another siege tank here. We get a couple of these tanks picked off. Bane's pressing forwards, and I mean, the Mutas did alright, but look how many Marines. With 2-2 upgrades as well, by the way, now 2-2 against 1-1. That's the thing as well, right? Now you've got a huge upgrade lead for a little while, and that is going to be massive, taking these fights as well. So, let's see. Clem just needs to make sure not to be so cocky that he just runs into Banelings, right? I mean, that's the one thing that can still lose him the game. And even though that was some alright Baneling connections, in most scenarios those Baneling connections would be good. But when you're down and you're dying as Scarlett is in this game, you need so much more still. Clem takes game 1 here on Eternal Empire. Damage to the Banelings, for example. And if some Banelings go off on the tanks, the Marines can then turn around and fight, and it can make the difference. You're essentially sacrificing the siege tanks to then overwhelm the Zerg because they don't have enough Banelings to kill the Marines. So it's basically just become a way of dealing with Banelings and to kind of gain an edge in the fights. It's not the best thing to do all of the time, but if you're being ran at by Banelings, it usually is the best idea, because either way, it's inefficient for Banes to hit the tank. You know, if Banelings are what's coming at you, it's inefficient for the Banes to hit the tank, and it lets you just kind of keep splitting away, right? So, in that case, it's always the right choice. If it's Lings that are chasing you down, then obviously you don't really want to do that, because Lings getting on top of tanks, they're going to clean those out, and that's obviously a good trade from the Zerg point of view. Game 2, as we start this off in the bottom right-hand side. Red Zerg player is Scarlett. And in the top left, our blue Terran is Clem. As Scarlett is opening with the early gas into a spawning pool. She's going to rack the damage counter up to 11 early in this game, or at least she hopes she will. Because she is opening really, really aggressive right now. So, very aggressive opening here. Super fast link speed. Just the link speed pulls out of gas and will probably expand behind this. So when you go for link speed early like this, you're going to make more than the 6 lings like you would with a typical pool first. You're absolutely hoping to cancel the command center. But more so than that, you're kind of looking for just the Terran to also almost mess up their response a little bit, because if you only get a CC cancel, it's still not that good for you because your own hatchery is so delayed. Your own hatchery is so delayed. Obviously, your drone count is down in the gutter already. Now, this time, Scarlett, she only makes 8 Zerglings and then goes in a drone, so it's not super bad. Again, the Reaper coming up the bunker is a really nice call from Clem. And look how urgently he builds the bunker. He stops building the CC to build the bunker. If the bunker comes up, you defend the CC, and that's a massive play, as Scarlett will actually go into more lings. There's actually no add-on on the top, as you're going to see Scarlett will come in, try and delay the bunker. Marine and a Reaper there, dancing around. Will get the SCV building the bunker, but the next SCV is already pulled towards the bunker as well. Now everything jumps in there, but now, oh yeah, nice call to go into the reactor. The thing is, a reactor does die to Zerglings. You can't repair it, obviously, and it doesn't build fast enough, so Lings will get in the main. So SCV damage is likely here, and that will maybe do the job for Scarlett, who obviously now Clem is in a bit of an awkward spot because he can't really bring much more up towards the main base. The extra few Lings made are going to help out a lot as well. The Scarlett just goes straight in towards the main. That mule time's out. It's actually a pretty decent defense from Clem. Workers lost 6. I'm going to say it's probably just about okay for Scarlett. Because yes, her hatch was delayed. Her queen count is low as well. It's very difficult to say, actually, right? The resources lost is a bit favorable to Scarlett. If you look at the income right now, we can't because, amazingly, we didn't host this with GameHot somehow. Income's about even-ish, maybe a bit favorable to Clem when he drops down a mule. Obviously, Scarlett's not mining gas either. Well, it's a really hard call. She's going to stop the third hatch. I'd say maybe it's fairly even. If someone has a slight advantage, maybe just Clem. A little bit. The thing is, though, as well, you've got to look at what Clem's also missing. No reactor is ready just yet, so that also slows down that part of his build. So there's a lot of moving parts to really analyze in this scenario. As we're going to be seeing those Zerglings sitting at the front. Well, this is where it becomes very important for Scarlett. She cannot really afford to let Hellions in to deal damage, because right now she's droning up, and she's droning up nicely to put herself in a good economy. She really needs to keep that economy up and running. She really does. So, let's see what will happen here. As we do have a fusion core dropping down from Clem. I mean, this is typically going to be a lower queen count than usual, so a battle cruiser opening is not a bad idea. As the two Queens just sitting at the front, some Zerglings as well, just making sure these Hellions don't slip on by. Now up to 38, 40 drones against 28 SCVs, but at some point Scarlett's going to have to start making some units as well, right? And when she has to start making some units, that's typically when Clem will play a bit of catch-up on workers, plus he has the double mule, 3rd CC starting, so Clem's going to be, 9 workers behind for Clem is alright. You can see it in the income bottom right. Clem's a little bit behind right now, but again, as extra mules start dropping in, that really does change. So I don't think it's all that bad for Clem here. It is nice that Scarlett didn't take any further damage, but again, let's see what the BC ends up doing. A minute and a half or so from now then is the first BC will start to build. Build up, teleport across, 3rd CC, actually going to lift off, and is he just going to go wall, or is he actually going to take it in position? He's going to take it into position. That's so interesting that he moves that out already, before morphing it into an orbital. Because if you morph it into an orbital first, it will already be building up energy for extra mules. And of course, you can already drop the first mule as well, which is also a nice little added bonus. So Hellions will be sitting out of the front command center, given the high ground vision for Marine to start dealing some damage to the Overlord. That will force a morph in towards an Overseer. Queens pushing the Hellions back out the left again. Spire on the way up from Scarlett over in the main base, and again the Hellions coming around. Gonna find a creep tumor to begin with. First Hellion goes down to the Queens, the rest of the Queens just coming through. Again, good defense. Scarlett taking no damage at all. Clem is going to play mech. 2 more factories dropping. The fact Scarlett's already on the way into a Spire, though. I mean, this BC, if it teleports across the map, is actually dead. Like, it's not going to die right away. No, of course not. But it's dead when these Corruptors build, and that's huge. Because now it's not going to teleport away in time, right? 60 seconds until teleport. 20 seconds to Spire, then Corruptors build, it might just get away. Maybe it like stays away. The issue is, does Clem recognize this, or does he stick around and maybe try and do more damage? Because that's what a lot of Terran players would do, stick around and get the most out of it. Ooh, that's going to be really dangerous. That's going to be very interesting to watch as Overlord being transfused, being kept alive. Man, that BC is so low. Look at Scarlett, almost just baiting it into here. Scarlett, Corruptors would be amazing right now, but I think Clem's going to bring it back home. The Scarlett's done so much damage to it that it's already having it back away. Meanwhile, Hellions going to come around the bottom left-hand side. So now maybe you could argue Roaches might have been the better choice in production. She will start up Roach speed. +1 flyer attack, +1 missile upgrade. All of this rolling through at the moment as Clem back around into the center of the map once more. Double armory will drop down as Clem tries to go in towards his factory upgrades, etc. It was really a right call for him to bring the BC back home. If this sticks around when these Corruptors come up, it's dead. And Scarlett could have made the Corruptors a bit earlier, so they could have come in and sniped it before the teleport was available. It was the right call to bring it back home. And now you've got 2 BCs at once to go back across the map, right? So they can join up and team together, and well, 2 BCs are better than 1. So that's kind of what you set up into next, as we do have the second BC coming out the front. We're going to see a few more Roaches on the way out, a few extra Corruptors building up, +1 missiles, +1 flyer attack, the Roach speed, all of this coming into play. Those Hellions all the way down to the bottom, and again, a few Queens coming around the top here. Lings, Roaches. Let's see what might happen. Queens able to deal some good damage there. Hellions will be pushed back. More Roaches coming out. And then +1 missile is going to be done soon. The Roach speed is about to complete. Clem will be pushed away through the center. So again, Queens are going to be pushing that back. More Lings and Roaches out on the map. As again, the Hellions trying to press on forwards there, and just going to be seeing a couple of BCs continue to come on through. A couple of Corruptors coming into play, of course, and this is kind of nice, because if you force the BCs... Okay, this is really nice, because if you force the BCs to teleport back now, well, then the Corruptors just go hunting for them. I don't know how well prepared is Clem for this. A couple of siege tanks are probably going to do very well. I'm kind of very surprised that the Corruptors aren't going to hunt for the BCs, but then again, what anti-air is there? Well, not really anything. And the Roach Ravager is, well, maybe not doing well against the tanks. It is forcing a lot of kills on the third base mineral line. Roach's Ravagers here fighting away a little bit. The repairs on the SCV is huge, but now Corruptors will get that third base. So that falls, and Scarlett looking pretty darn good here. Roach is still pressing through it, and the tank goes down. I was so surprised she didn't chase after the battle cruisers with the Corruptors, because there's no anti-air anywhere. But at the same time, she gets to third base. I mean, you can look at that as being a big benefit as well. Scarlett a big round of drones, but she isn't really quite saturated across her 4 bases just yet. And that's what she needs to get to actually take an advantage over the fact that she just killed this base. Because this base gets replayed by what should have been the 4th base of Clem. So by going up to 80 workers now, Scarlett really does solidify a really strong advantage. Clem will take a 4th base much later than he would usually like to. As we'll see, the Roach is able to knock down those rocks. Now Ravager 2 extra still just morphing on in. Macfield Accelerator building up on the factory, and again, BC is starting to press out into the middle of the map. +2 missiles, +2 flyer attack, all starting up here on the Evo chamber on the Spire. Missile turret will shoot and hits the first Corruptor. Ravager's taking a bit of damage as well, and just pulling this all the way back around through the center over to that right-hand side. BCs will continue down the bottom. 7 more swarm hosts. Way up as we can see. This overboard will go down. It's going to be a nice little scan. Get rid of a couple of creep tumors here. Ravager gets picked off as well. Again, just pressing through Clem. And get a few further creep tumors. Obviously, this is where the Corruptors will commit to the fight. Force teleport. Got some bars across the way there, but not really much done. A couple of Yamato's going down. Scarlett forces the kind of movement backwards. I mean, Locust coming up now, so Scarlett is maxed out. She's just going to build up her bank a little bit and wait for the Swarm Host to move across the map before she takes a fight. And Clem doesn't even have Blue Flame yet, so that's a minute waste. This first Locust fight is going to be against no Blue Flame, which obviously just slows down the rate at which these Locusts get cleaned out. Surprisingly, though, Scarlett doesn't bring her Roaches along with this. Well, might not need to. Drops down on the first siege tank, gets a kill almost instantly, gets 2. But considering that was, what, like 5 Swarm Hosts of Locusts? That's a pretty nice starting trade. 2 siege tanks just like that. Roach is still moving up to the top as tank fire is good. Cyclone lock on pushes these Roaches back as well. So the Roaches, the couple of Ravagers, all of this pulling back away. Extra Hellions into the Cyclone setting up. 2 more siege tanks, 3 more siege tanks currently building as you can see the Queens transfusing each other. Nice transfusion so far. Again, there's a couple of Locusts dropping down to try and deal a bit of damage. A few more Locusts going to pop up and start heading around. BC's on the top going to try and deal with some Locusts, but they're just up and onto siege tanks. The fact that there's just Locusts everywhere makes it so difficult, because where are you meant to go? Explosive Bowers are going to start raining on down to the tanks as well. So get by a couple more siege tanks, and again, Clem is just not trained well enough to realistically stay in this game. When you're down a couple bases, I mean, this is just so tough to do anything with right now. Although he is actually up work, because Scarlett must have lost her. She didn't even lose drones. So she's just been morphing drones into spines and static defense, etc. She was up on 78, now she's down on 69. She lost a couple, but that's about it. And now the BCs are going down because they don't have teleports available, so there's just, even more damage, more damage being done, because the BCs are one of the things that are just consistently here to deal damage to the Roach Ravager, but obviously not anymore. Corrosive Bowers starting to drop down on siege tanks. Locust dropping in on tanks in the background. At least the Hellions are there to try and protect those. Only one of the tanks will fall, but it's the tanks that are lost at the front of the Roach Ravager that count as well. And Clem's supply keeps on dropping. 140 supply to 200. Greater Spire dropping in from Scarlett in the main base. Again, Swarm Hosts, Ravagers, Roaches all setting up in the middle of the map, and we'll see those Locusts just going to jump up. BC pressing forwards. Our Ravager's going to drop down some Corrosive Bowers yet again, and maybe a bit of overkill on that single siege tank there, but this is overwhelming. And there's, what, 1 Cyclone over here to try and survive. There's Roaches and Ravagers going up the natural. Scarlett takes game 2. We're tied up 1-1. Guys, we got 3. A couple of people mentioning that we've hit 2,500 viewers. Yes, we have. That means we will announce a Korean player invite as well. We'll do that after this series. In the top left-hand side, our red Zerg player. It is Scarlett. Tying this up 1-1 as in the bottom right. Our blue Terran player. It is Clem. Alright, so game 3 of this, and we're starting off pretty regularly. Hatchery first from Scarlett. Obviously, that's kind of how we started up in game number 1. Scarlett plays this. She just needs to not take that early damage like she did in the first game, right? The few Hellions that ran in, keeping some alive. Liberate shows up, gets a queen kill. You know, that's the sort of things that against Clem you can't lose, because then he's going to win the game 5 minutes from now when you're still just, you know, when that disadvantage has snowballed into a mountain. And, you know, at that point you just can't get back. In the last game, obviously, Scarlett put herself ahead early, and it was the same sort of thing. Scarlett got ahead early, and that advantage got out of control. Clem was never really able to do a lot of damage counter-attacking with the BCs. He was never able to really do much here or there. They were actually two very similar games in terms of the philosophy of how each game worked, where one player dealt some early damage, they got ahead, they didn't take any damage to the opponent's counter-attacks, and that snowballed into the victory, you know, 5-ish minutes down the line. We're just going to be seeing the SCV moving around up the top side, and Overlord of Scarlett coming across the scout. This is where Clem plays that naughty little dance to block the third base for as long as possible. Drone going to be jumping in on that, and obviously SCV taking some damage. Going to see a bit of patrolling going on that third base as well. Reaper coming through, and a couple of Zerglings going to be chased away. It's a grenade that lands on a drone that doesn't actually get hit because it builds into a Spore Crawler. I do just see the Reaper coming across, but this time the drone's able to build into an Extractor, so Scarlett will be able to drop that third hatch down in a moment or so, and just going to be able to see again the couple of Lings. Going to start pressing down the bottom right side. Oh my god, the 71/71 denial. This should never happen when you play hatchery first. That's so frustrating to lose an SV. Might lose a second one because this one's low. Oh, Scarlett is going to go hunting for it. Clem stops running. Great opener for Scarlett. 2 worker kills off of a hatchery first, while the Reaper does get a drone across the map. I mean, if you lose that Reaper, that actually would have been really bad for Clem as well, even if you get a drone kill, because then you don't have scouting to check if Scarlett's dropping down a roach drone or something. But again, it slows down this third hatchery, and if you slow down the third hatchery, I don't then think you can go into overload speed, because otherwise you don't have enough queens to defend properly, like what we saw in game number 1. So it might limit Scarlett from scouting later on in this game as well. She still doesn't have a third hatch. She'll take a second gas already. This Reaper just being extremely frustrating. Now as Hellions come across, it kind of feels like you kind of have to have that third hatch up. Otherwise, well, when are you going to get it up? There's going to be 4 minutes in the game, no third hatchery. I mean, Ling's being made, Ling speed is here, so arguably you could have had this a little bit sooner. Scarlett drops a Rotoron down on the natural, denies the Reaper. I mean, obviously she has quite a lot of gas, and she's kept mining gas as well, plus the fact she took the gas on the natural. And Clem hasn't actually seen any of that. I'm not sure if this Reaper saw the workers returning gas to the hatchery. That could have been a scout. Either way, Clem's going to go for a Banshee. And a Banshee in this scenario against a Roach attack is obviously amazing, because the Banshee is just consistent damage onto those Roaches. It's actually pretty much the dream scenario. It's exactly what you want to have happen. So it's almost like he's delayed the hatchery for so long, he's forced Scarlett into an all-in. And now he's going to have what should be a really good counter to an all-in. So first Roach is on the way up from Scarlett. Now she's on 39 drones. But the all-in aspect of this is she's going to be missing tech. She's not set up into Evo Chambers, no lair. So, yes, she's on a worker lead for now. But if she doesn't do damage, it's going to be the tech that's missing. And then the potential counter damage of Banshees, etc. That could put her really, really far behind. We do see Cloak coming up on that tech lab. We're going to be seeing the barracks or 2 extra dropping down as well. And these Hellions just pulling back away through the center of the map, so continue to pull these back down to the bottom right-hand side. A couple of extra bunkers building here. The couple of extra barracks are going to be building here. Again, setting up a lot of this, but the Queens are coming across the map too, so there is going to be something of an answer to the Banshees, but not if they have Cloak. There's no detection. The Cloak Banshees just really do hard counter this. Can you kill enough? In time? Probably not. So, I mean, Scarlett should do some damage, right? But, yeah, with Cloak here, there's just no Overseer. She starts up a lair now. Ravager's going to move on forwards again. Look at the damage they're already taking. Banshee's target fire. Nice transfuse to keep one of the Ravagers alive there. The Cloak. I love that Clem waited as long as possible to cloak up these Banshees as well. Help, just let them build up energy for a little while. Now going to break through the depots. The Scarlett want to commit. There's so many Hellions behind those depots. If those Lings run in right now, it feels like she's just running into a bonfire. And her Zerglings of the fuel. I mean, do you see just attempts to keep on breaking into this? but she's slowly losing her army advantage, and she knows it. She's starting up 12 more drones. Obviously, the lair is on the way, so she can get an Overseer up, but it's going to be way too late to realistically help out with this attack. I mean, she kills one of the Banshees and it runs out of energy, and that is quite nice, because that means it's one less Banshee to counterattack, but Clem will clean up the main attack. And obviously you lose Lings, Roaches, Ravages, you lose all of your Queens. You kill one Banshee again, it's nice because now there's only one Banshee coming towards you. But what do you actually have on the map? You have nothing right now. 3 Roaches, 5 Roaches in production, that's the only armor units you have on the map, plus whatever Queens are left, 3 Queens. So Clem has so much coming across to this top left-hand side. This is looking really, really good for him as he pushes into the upper left. I was going to see Clem coming around, going to start loading a couple of Marines. Roaches will start to fight. Spore Crawler will relocate over to the left-hand side. Queen with a bit more damage onto that medevac. Hellions up to the top, going to go pick away a few of these drones. That's 8 workers killed as well. Oh man, I mean, just in case Scarlett wasn't going to have trouble enough, now she's losing so many drones on top of the rest of it. It's all falling apart for Scarlett here right now. It's all falling apart for Scarlett. As you see, this Banshee can jump up into the main base. Try and do a little bit more. There's just no way. There's just no way you can recover from this. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be an uphill battle. You saw what happened in game number 1. Let's see if she can somehow pull something miraculous off. She will have an upgrade lead. She is going to have 1-1 Roaches against 0-0 Bio. Is that enough to make this work? I'm not sure if it is. I'm not sure if it is. We will see these 2 medevacs of Clem boosting out from the bottom side here. Another Marine and a few medevac, another medevac and a few Marines in the center. Remember, 1-1's not here yet for Scarlett, so we're just waiting a few more moments to finish that up. Hive coming into the main. Marines coming through, picking off the creep teamer. Up this ramp, Roaches and Ravager. They will turn the Marines away. Corrosive Bile dropping down again. The medevacs just have no choice other than to pull away at the moment. So Scarlett's kind of holding on. She has kept her worker count up at 70. She's gone into Hydras too, which means she's not just on Roach Ravager. So there's a little bit of tech to this. Because of the style she's playing, she has to go to Hive because she needs Vipers to make this work. So she absolutely needs that Hive to come up and Vipers to be here before the first push of the game. Thing is, Clem's push is delayed because he's not going to go with that 1-1 upgrade. So Scarlett, she's kind of keeping herself going. I'm not convinced she's going to be able to deal with this army when Clem hits an upgrade, hits an upgrade time and goes for the attack. But she's keeping herself competitive. She's doing the right kind of things to maybe make this work out. As we see a few Marines loading out here through into the middle. Going to be seeing a couple of Queens immediately in some trouble. Creep team is going down. Ravager Nelly getting picked off. More Roach Hydra coming over, and we do just see these Marines of Clem up to the top side. Drone's going to transfer forwards and towards the 4th hatchery. A couple of creep teamers going down. A bit more creep being picked away at. Queen going to transfuse. A couple of Queens getting transfused up, and again Clem back down the right-hand side. Moving forwards once again. Here's some of these Marines going to go in after the creep spread. Scans for it. Gets a bunch of it. It's a really nice creep spread denial as we do see those Marines unloading in the corner. More drones coming through into this forward base, and just again seeing Clem continue to apply the pressure. And Scarlett's about to have the Vipers. Scarlett's about to be on that set of tech, which she's been looking for with this composition. But look at, I mean, because of the lack of creep spread, can she even go across the map? Well, probably not. So what's she going to do? Well, I guess the next stage from here... Oh, she's going to go Ultras. I was going to go say the next stage from here is to go into Great Aspire. She's going to drop an Ultras Cavern instead. That's surprising me, because A, she isn't on melee upgrades. Maybe she realizes she's on an upgrade lead, though. Clem hasn't started 2-2. +2 character base against +1 attack is really good for Ultras. So in that case, it might work. You don't necessarily need the melee upgrade if the Ultras just survive so long they can deal infinite damage anyways, right? So, yeah, I would have said kind of typically Great Spire, but also maybe that just takes too long to get to, of course. Because you've got to build that Spire first and then go from there. You've seen him ducked on the first siege tank, doesn't get the kill on it though, and that's got to be painful. Actually, these Vipers kind of don't really have enough energy. First Blinding Cloud. It kind of feels like these Blinding Clouds are... I mean, Corrosive Bars miss as well, and now there's a drop killing Workers too. It kind of feels like these Vipers just kind of missed their first few shots that they need, and she's going to go for Abduct. She's going to try and fight this slowly. I really thought if there was anything that would happen here because of the upgrade lead, she could just drop Blinding Clouds and just go for the fight. She's going to commit into this now, but look how many tanks are firing. Right? I mean, this is just a fight you don't win even with the upgrade advantage, because the tank fire is ridiculous. So much splash. Marines and Marauders obviously a great buffer for them, and as all the tanks go down, there's so much Marine Marauder left. Maybe this is where Scarlett's upgrades will really come into their own and really be able to push this back a bit, but I do not think that those Vipers were really able to do what they should have been doing there. Again, for me, I think Blinding Clouds were the answer. That was absolutely not what she went for. Just because it maybe would have worked if she'd gotten something out of the abducts, but the first abduct missed, the second abduct missed. We have, you know, then, when I say missed, I mean didn't kill the tank after abducting it. And then you missed the corrosive valves on the forward tank, which kind of made it so that she was actually just like, oh, actually, I can't just play this slowly after losing a bit too much. Clem will keep moving on forwards. I wasn't convinced Scarlett's army was going to be able to hold that, and in the end, it was not able to hold that, albeit maybe could have had a better fight. GG's. Clem is our first qualified player for the War